Hi, my name's Michael Weatherly.
And I'm Cody.
Hi, Cody
And this
Pablo.
is... Hi.
This is Off Duty. Today, Cody DePablo, we're talking season 3, episode 18.
Bait.
I remember shooting this episode very
I do.
clearly. Yeah, isn't it funny?
Do you remember this? Because I brought this, I saw it, and I just died laughing. This.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about
It's
many
just the little hand that Harmon had, and we laughed about it, and I think
for the
years,
next 8 years, this meant something.
we did this. This meant something.
Welcome to Off Duty, an NCIS Rewatch podcast. Today on the show, season 3, episode 18, Bait. The team must stop a student holding 6 classmates hostage from detonating a bomb. I have a lot to say about this episode, about how, McGee's squeaky shoes. New shoes.
McGee's squeaky shoes were so good.
DiNozzo trying to sort of be a team leader, seeking his boss's approval and his co-workers' approval. Ziva thinking that she's all like undercover, sly, secret agent girl. But the teenage terrorist guy, who's not even a terrorist, he's just a kid who's being blackmailed. He's not even a pro, and he sees you out the window with your camera.
With my camera. No, it's epic. I said the same thing. I was like, and by the way, like she's telling McGee, like, you need to stand back because of the shoes. Like, your shoes are making too much noise. And then all of a sudden I'm watching this and I'm going, oh my God.
I know. But see, I lean into that a little bit because I saw some very interesting performance things happening. I thought Mark Harmon was genius. I thought Polly Perrette was genius. Can't say as much for myself, but
Yeah,
I am excited.
I thought you were really good. Like, you were in that kind of like quiet, in control mode that you go into very seldomly.
WWGD.
Sniper teams on purge.
Is that a weapons acronym?
Advise team leader.
No. It stands for What Would Kids Do?
But I loved it. I was watching and I was like, oh, look at that. That's a different version of the Cherie I know. Actually, of the Tony DiNozzo I know, because I've seen Michael do that, but I haven't, the Tony DiNozzo of it all was...
Well, we are going to talk about all of that and more a little bit later, and I am excited to discuss it. But right now, I want to talk about something we do on this little podcast of ours. Just this tiny little podcast we make called Off Duty. And this is called Flashback. Flashback. Now, at this time, and there's a very interesting thing in this flashback, these 4 little bullet points. An attempted coup d'etat against Chadian President Idris Deby was foiled. Chad, the country of Chad, they tried to have a coup, and it was foiled. That, even when it happened, was not on my radar, but now I'm glad to know about it 18 years later.
I think you and I were like deep into making TV, so we missed a lot of like world events that were going on because we were too busy trying to get another take.
Yes, but
which, by the way, doesn't make me like proud of my existence. I'm not like,
at
well,
all.
I just,
But we did have somebody in the camera department named Chad.
We did, and he's the
We
best.
still do. I think he's still there. Chad and Kim, still there. Matt LeBlanc and wife Melissa announced they were separating after only 3 years of marriage. And I have met the Matt LeBlanc in real life. He wouldn't remember it, but I thought he was a fine fellow.
I bet he was. He's always seemed like a really nice guy.
I've met, of the friends, I met the late Matt Perry, and funny. I thought he was a really funny guy. And I have met the Courtney Cox because her parents were friends with my Uncle Bob and Aunt Marianne down in Birmingham, Alabama. And the Courtney Cox did a show with my niece, Alex Breckenridge, the star of Virgin River. She will come up later in this conversation. And then Jennifer Aniston, I was on a show called Jessie that was on right after Friends. And it was with Christina Applegate. And so I got to meet a whole bunch of those friendly friends. And Jennifer Aniston
And they
was
were all
completely
really
awesome.
friendly from what I hear. Yeah.
Super awesome. All of them.
Super nice people. Friendly.
The next thing I'm going to tell you is that She's the Man and V for Vendetta came out in the movie theaters
Remember
this
V
week.
for Vendetta? That was such a good movie.
Yes, but do you know why She's the Man is important?
Why?
Because my niece, Alexandra Breckenridge, star of Virgin River, was in She's the Man.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Well, she's also a very nice lady.
Yes, and it was one of those movies, like 10 Things I Hate About You, or I don't know, where they were just like clueless or whatever. They were taking either old stories or Shakespearean stories, like The Twelfth Night or whatever, and turning it into like a teen drama. And that is what She's the Man was all about, because it's a woman who dresses up like a man. James Blunt with his single, You're Beautiful. And I remember singing that to you when we were shooting.
Really?
Not really, but I would have. I think I would have.
I was like, wow, I don't remember this memory. I think I would have definitely tracked it, but
This became the first, James Blunt became the first British artist in 2006 to top the U.S. Billboard Top 100, Hot 100, since Elton John's Candle in the Wind in 1997.
that was such a beautiful.
When the Princess Diana
Lady D.
died. Yeah. Now, Candle in the Wind didn't actually get released in 1997. It was first released back in the 1970s on Yellow Brick Road. I'm going to give you an episode synopsis.
Please do.
And if you want to jump in at any point, please feel free. NCIS are called in when the teenage son of a Marine major arrives in school with a bomb strapped to his body and one simple demand: bring his mother to the classroom before sunset. But the investigation takes a turn when the team discovers that she's dead, having seemingly drowned in a boating accident the year before, and they soon begin to suspect that someone else is manipulating the youngster, and it turns out that's true, and then it turns out his mom is alive.
His mom is alive, and that's my favorite part of the episode. And how did that happen? I'm not sure. But at the end, we do see, this is my favorite, the Gibbs hand.
Cody DePablo, let's dissect this episode, Bait, a little bit. What are your salient memories of this episode?
I just remember the Gibbs thing. I laughed out loud, when he did the little thing with the hand, little yes thing. Puppet? Yes. Puppet. That became like our little inside joke. And I remember doing that to Mark, and Mark being like, what are you doing, Coates? He just didn't get why we thought it was so funny. And I don't think it was really that funny. I just think, I don't know. It just was what it was. We had a lot of those moments. They were like survival moments.
I remember
where we
the
just
school.
needed to laugh.
I remember the school. I remember shooting at that school.
I remember that too.
Yep. And I also remember, okay, no, this is a weird thing. Hat on, hat off. Hat on, hat off. Hat on, hat off. So I had my hat on half the time because Terrence O'Hara was directing. And if you were going to be in the combat zone, walking down the hallway or going to the thing or coming out of the MCRT truck or whatever, you had to wear the hat, right? But if I'm interviewing the lady or whatever, and Billy Webb would be like, is there any way he can not wear the hat? We can't see his eyes because the light,
I found Cody's father. He was at a conference in Washington, D.C. MPs are escorting him now. Whew, I just thought you'd want to know before you go in there.
So you were acting for the light.
Hat on, hat off. Hat on, hat off. And there's a couple of scenes where the hat head that I've got going on is very kind of eraser head.
May I say, you look very attractive in this episode.
Go on.
You're like, keep it coming. You're like,
Tell me
I
more.
that never gets old. No, you do. You look very good. You look I don't know what was going on, but you look very good.
Yeah, what do you think was going on?
I don't know.
Well, we had a bomb squad is what we had. It was kind of a bottle show in the sense that we were really stuck on sets. There wasn't a lot of movement. Gibbs was with the guy with the bomb. Abby and McGee were sort of in the lab for a lot of the show, and Ducky goes up and talks to Jenny Shepard. And so I could see that it was structured to be probably a show that later on in the season they could save a little money on, maybe. But I think it ends up being, again, Obstacles, the Opportunity.
And by the way, I think it was a very good show. And most of the bottle shows that we did or that felt to us like bottle shows were actually really good shows. But I don't remember feeling like I was in everything. And I remember watching it and I was like, oh, remarkably, like we've been sprinkled really nicely. Like everyone was kind of doing their thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it probably felt like we were, and now looking back on it, you probably had a couple of days off.
Although, when you're at that school, you got to be there for the beginning outside of the school when we arrive. You got to be there. I was in the hallway for some stuff.
You were in the hallway a lot.
I had to go with Gibbs down the hallway. And I was going to say this before to you, but I found that there was some tonal experimentation happening.
You're talking about for DiNozzo?
With all the characters, I felt like...
But I felt like it was primarily your character because you were taking on this kind of like, I'm going to be the boss and and I love that bit between you and Gibbs, by the way, where he's on the in the room and you're like, you say something to him and...
Yeah, he calls me boss and I'm like, absolutely, Agent Gibbs.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there are probably about 10 episodes that I could name. It's like one of our little games, but I could name episodes where that dynamic really plays strongly, where you see how stuck in Second Bananaville DiNozzo is, not just in the show or whatever, but like,
you know what, it's so funny because you talk about this a lot about like being stuck there and all of that.
No, I don't talk about it anymore, but back then I did.
No, I'm talking about
just
like the character, and I think you did such a good job at making Tony DiNozzo sort of be in control. As much as you find the joke and the thing and the banter and like, it never ceases to amaze me that you find surprise, that they're like, oh, well, and then you break the character and you go back to being that kind of frat boy thing. But when you are in charge and when you are the boss, you put a lot of pressure, meaning like DiNozzo puts a lot of pressure on himself and he tries to be this good boss, he tries to be really good. And,
yes.
And he is good. And that's the thing. He is good. He doesn't have to try. He's just good. And that's the thing that I'm always like, oh, I like that, Yeah. He's good.
It's good. Well, I appreciate everything you said, and I've done enough therapy to know that I should say thank you.
20 years later. Thank you.
I know, if only. Cody, are you ready?
I am ready for this, actually.
All right. I would like to introduce someone who I think is one of the most impressive humans, personally and professionally, and also a very neighborly gal, because we were neighbors.
You're neighbors in Los Angeles, right?
Yes, that's correct. And we will get into that and everything else, including all the TV shows she's directed, like Westworld, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, Modern Family, Morning Show, you name it, she's done it. Most recently, Constellation, which of course is a big giant show that we're going to talk about. She is a self-confessed NCIS fan, and I would like to introduce, ladies and gentlemen, sound the trumpets, Michelle MacLaren.
Hi, you guys.
Wow.
Hi, Michelle.
It's so good to see you. Oh my gosh.
How are you?
I'm good.
Hi.
Hi.
How's the canyon?
We miss you. We miss you
I
so
know.
much. I know, Cody,
Well,
we knew, Michael and I were neighbors.
Oh, I know this.
Of course
We
you know
actually
this.
did talk about it as we were presenting you.
Oh,
It's a great story, and it is, I think, a great place for us to begin because it's kind of how we began.
True.
and then we can kind of traipse through. We can actually, I think there's a lot of really fun stuff. How you first perceived me up in Mark Horowitz's office.
I would be happy to describe that. So
Yes.
I get this phone call saying, would you like to do an episode of NCIS? I said, I would love to. And I go to the NCIS offices for my first day, and I'm in Mark Horowitz's office, big, impressive office. I think lots of wood, if I remember. And I was waiting for Mark, and Michael walks in. And Michael is very sweet and very kind, and he starts pacing around the room, and in a very casual way starts asking me questions about my knowledge of NCIS. And I was on it like this. And he finally turns to
He
me
was
and he goes,
auditioning you.
he was auditioning to me, and he turns to me and goes, oh, you're a fan. And I, oh, yes, I am. That's how I met Michael. But it was, I kind of had DiNozzo interviewing me when I was first day.
And now you had seen, I mean, obviously you had seen the show. Why did you start watching the show? What sort of grabbed you? Or
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, it was so long ago. I don't remember, but I found it.
long ago.
Sorry.
It was so long ago.
It was so long ago. But it was really, the show was kind of in a form of escapism because I loved the characters and their relationships. And the actual stories, when it was one of the stories, so I did the X-Files many years ago, and we had two different types of stories. We had anthology stories, and then we had one-off stories. And you guys kind of do the same thing. You have the anthology stories that are part of the whole overarching story, and then you might have a one-off. For that episode, somebody, robs something or kills somebody or whatever. And but it's not necessarily part of the whole thing. And as I got more and more into the show and more into the anthology series, I really got into the characters. And in fact, recently I was brushing up just to remember a few things. So I was watching a few episodes, and I don't think I had seen the episode, the homage to Ducky, and I bawled my eyes out. I cried so hard. And then I watched the episode where DiNozzo thinks you're dead, and I wept. I know you're alive, and I wept. I mean, it was amazing. And I think, you know what? It's just years of watching these characters and wanting them to be together so bad. I'm so excited about your new show, you guys. Congratulations.
Can we talk about our dinner in New York? 'Cause
I
this
know.
was like such an epic moment.
So that, for the people in podcast land to understand, this was 6 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
This was
something like that.
2017, maybe 2016. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a while ago.
It was a
Yeah.
while ago. Yeah.
Maybe
it was
8
a
years
while
ago. And we were, we all gathered at Mamo down in Soho, across from the Soho Grand.
So good.
And give Mamo
So
a plug,
good.
one of my favorite places.
Delicious. Me too.
But the three of us got shattered over a beautiful dinner, and we were putting our heads together. And this was before John McNamara was involved.
Mm-hmm.
But this just shows you how long that was in a sort of gestation. It's like an elephant pregnancy. It's like 9 years or something.
We sat there going, you guys have to get back together. You have to. This incredible relationship and romance and epic love that has been torn apart for years has not been, we haven't got the payoff. I mean, I will say when Talia walks into the office, it's one of the greatest moments. And then when you get the text in the car from Tony and you're wondering, is he going to ever speak to me again? And it's Talia and she's saying hi to her mom. I mean, come on, you guys. It's like, it's the best setup ever. I'm so excited, and I can't wait.
I think it's going to be good. And I also want to talk about, and it's funny that you're talking about all the emotional stuff, because I know this about you, but also I know that you're a very mathematical director. You are somebody who is, you're very organized, very prepared. But talk to me a little bit about, I know this is a little bit of a gear change, but I feel like it kind of rides side by side with you as a woman, human, director, mom, friend. You kind of work on a binary thing where you're super emotional and plugged in, but you're also really like linear in a lot of ways.
Right. It's interesting. I tend to do a lot of, I guess, muscular things. And I really love, I mean, everybody loves great character drama, but I also love action. And the way that I approach things that are, let's say there are heavy in action, my feeling is for a good action sequence, you always have to have a story within it. You always have to have a point of view. You always have to understand where you are. And so it's kind of like a mathematical problem. You have to deconstruct it to reconstruct it. You have to break it down into tiny pieces. So it becomes very mathematical in figuring out how to put it together. I mean, quite frankly, any scene is like that. But when I was first starting to direct, the best piece of advice that was given to me was always make sure the camera's telling the story. And I thought, oh my gosh, what does that mean? You know, and I really studied that, and I really started to understand subjective angles and objective angles. And when you start to break a scene down, you obviously want to keep the emotional perspective, but there's a practicality to it. There's a practicality of, you know, how you're going to efficiently with the time that you have to tell the story, and where's the best place to put the camera to hopefully evoke the emotion and the connection that the audience is going to have with the characters. So it does, it sounds mathematical, sounds non-emotional, but when I say that it's mathematical, it is how the practical way of how to put the pieces together to tell the story. But most of all, I think all of us as different types of artists have to let ourselves go, have to let our imaginations.
Well, you're talking about the structure. Right?
Exactly,
you're talking about the structure.
Cody. Yeah.
And I do really, truly believe that artists, I mean, some of them obviously have the structure, some don't have the structure, but I remember understanding what the structure was early on and latching onto the structure when, of course, maybe the nerves would come in and all that stuff. Like you'd latch onto that structure so that you could allow yourself a level of freedom, you know? So it's an interesting point. But I heard something, and forgive me for being a little intrusive or perhaps a little too curious, but last time we had this dinner, were you a mother?
No.
Oh my God. So that's the thing that jumped at me the most. May I ask how that has changed your life?
It's amazing.
Because I know that you had waited for that, and this was something that you were thinking deeply about.
Well, it's something I've always wanted. And, you know, for some of us, it's a hard thing for whatever reason to come about. So I've done it quite late in life, and it's the best thing I've ever done. And her name's Georgia, spelled Giorgia, because that means powerful woman. And she is a powerhouse. And we first went on location to Tijuana, Mexico, when she was 2 months old. And she goes everywhere with me, and she's amazing. It's awesome. I mean, it's a juggling act, you know, and it takes a village, as everybody knows. And but it's the greatest gift I've ever been given, and I love it. It's amazing. And believe it or not, she's a little director, and I'm not just saying that.
I wanted to talk about the great CV of Michelle MacLaren.
Yes.
And obviously you've had, you know, we're always lucky if we get to work on one great show, but at a certain point, it's not luck. You're so chock full of chocolate chips on that thing. It's like, I was wondering if you could go through, and I'll just ask you about a show, and you kind of give me your hot take memory or a kind of, you know, whatever it means to you or whatever. Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a whirl.
X-Files.
Ooh, met Vince Gilligan, directed for the first time, and learned about point of view.
And I'm going off memory here. So Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. I didn't know what a graphic novel was, and loved the idea that it was a genre that you could really play in and be somewhat arched in, and really scare people. But actually, I want to tell you guys a quick story because it's kind of interesting about The Walking Dead. So I get called for an interview for The Walking Dead, and I had just started doing Breaking Bad. I didn't have a lot of credits to my name, and I didn't know what a graphic novel was. So I ran to the comic book store. I started reading this, and I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And I go to a meeting with Frank Darabont and Gail Ann Hurd. I'm so intimidated and nervous. And Frank's got all these monster things around the office. And they go, what did you think? What do you think about The Walking Dead? And I said, well, I did the second episode after the pilot, the first episode after the pilot. So the show hadn't been out yet or anything. And so I'd only read the pilot. And I said, well, it reminds me of when, and I was just being, gut reaction. I said, it reminds me of when I was a little girl and our family would go to Hawaii for Christmas, and we'd go to the Honolulu Zoo, and we'd walk into the zoo and be walking down. There's different animals and whatnot. And there'd be a train car, like a cargo car, and you can't see around the front of it. You can just see the side of it. And there's a sign that says, in here is the most dangerous animal in the world. And you'd walk around and you'd look in, and there's a mirror. And I said, that's what The Walking Dead's about. And I got the job.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a really good
Because
story.
it's really about what do humans do in extreme situations? How do we react in crisis? So that was a really big learning curve for me. And we got to do lots of really gross, interesting things. And again, I always want to try and make things grounded and real. So how do you do that when you've got zombies and guts everywhere and stuff? And if you approach it in the most grounded, real way, you get to take people on that journey.
Sure. Was Westworld similar in that way, where it's very much the mirror of humanity?
Very much so. And Westworld was super cool because, again, now you're thinking futuristic, right? You're thinking, what if AI takes over? What if one of the three of us isn't real? You're thinking out of the box. One of my favorite shots there was one of the actors was two favorite shots, was walking down this hallway, and as they went down the hallway, they were jumping between realities. And I said, you know what? Why don't they're looking through a glass into separate rooms, and there's different things happening in the room. Why don't we put a camera on the other side of the glass, take the wall out, and we'll build these little vignettes of action that are happening. And the way that we'll transfer from one reality to the other is just the wipe of the post. So it's the camera looks like it's continuous, but actually we're cutting as we're wiping between the posts of the wall. So it's very, very simple, very, very grounded, but super effective too. And I've used, whenever I can, I try to go as grounded and as real as possible. And I've been able to play in a lot of different genres, but I always try to do that. I always try to keep it as real. Vince Gilligan said to me once, what would you do? What would this character do in this situation? So no matter how fantastical it is, I try to ground it and make it real and go, okay, well, how would I react if a dragon came at me? How would I react if I'm changing realities? What would that look like to me or to you or to the average person? And how would that make me feel? So being able to play in all these different genres is great, but I always try to bring it back to reality, even though it's not always reality.
Right. That reminded me that the invisible cut, you remember on our show, Billy Webb, the director of photography.
Love him. Mm-hmm.
So great Steadicam operator. So
yeah, brilliant.
It was Mark Harmon. I wasn't in the scene. I was in the interrogation observation watching this scene.
Yeah.
But it was a montage of Harmon interrogating five different young, Marine Corps guys, Navy guys. And it was supposed to be, like cuts, done in cuts. So, but everyone came in the rehearsal process, as you know, and we were all there. And then on the fly, they just said, Billy Webb was like, what if we just keep going around the table? And when we're on Harmon, that actor gets up and the other actor sits in. So when we come back around on the next actor, the cut, you never cut.
You never cut.
But there's a new kid in front of Harmon. And then now we're on his coverage going behind Harmon's head. And then awesome. we get into a hard profile just at the end. And I mean, it still makes I get goosebumps because it's the kind of thing that you find at 7:00 in the morning.
Sure.
And it becomes like and then all of a sudden what would happen is you have Johnny O holding on to Billy's rig, the steady rig, and guiding him so he doesn't bump into walls and tables. But all the other actors, the other 4 actors, it's like 10 little Indians.
Yeah.
We're all going around. They were all going around in the room behind Johnny O'Grady and holding on. They were each holding on to each other so that they wouldn't make any noise, and everyone was committed. Everyone was plugged in.
It's the best.
And
It's
you're
the
just
coolest
like,
thing. Yeah.
It's the best. And it's so fun. It's real. And it worked. Great.
My memory of you, one of my memories of you on the set of NCIS was with your handheld monitor running down like, we had to like jump over a fence. Cody, you and I had to do some sort
Remember
of crazy.
they hired that really
Hardcore.
fantastic guy who was doing all of that stuff where he had
the
to jump
parkour.
and jump
The
and jump.
parkour. It was so fun.
Federal agent, stop! Oh, this guy's moving.
Yeah.
But you were so athletic, and I remember Billy Webb watching you and going like, I don't think we've ever had a director this athletic. Because Tom
And I
Wright
remember
was not.
we had to run, Michelle, and you made us run. And I remember being like, oh my God. And Michael was like, I'm going to outrun you, Cody. And I was like trying to keep up with Michael. And so of course, we've always had this thing where it's like, I'm going to run faster. I am now. And so, but I remember being exhausted from those run sequences because I think we shot them for a little bit, but it wasn't like a short run either. It was like,
No, it was a
by the
long
time you
run
did
through
it was a long bit of running.
Right, through a construction site. And I actually watched it again the other day and I was laughing because you actually say, you're out front and Michael's coming up behind you and you go, I think it was you, Cody, goes, oh, he's fast. And Michael's like, he sure is. And I was like, did they ad-lib that? Because I don't remember.
Oh, I'm sure there was a lot of that in our show. There was a lot of that. And I do remember you had us on that great set. And it was the first time I felt on NCIS that, because you did like a big, wide master and I felt like I was in the theater, usually like things were a little bit more, I don't know, they were a little bit more personal. The camera was a little bit here. Like you wanted this sort of like giant master shot. And I remember thinking like, wow. And you wanted the entire scene to play, like the entire thing to play. And I was like, all right, here we go, and it was very interesting.
Was it the construction site shot scene that we did that on?
It was an inside where we.
I remember that.
Yeah. I think we were inside the house. I think.
Oh, in there. Okay.
So I'm going to return to my investigation of Michelle MacLaren's CV.
No, wait, can I ask one question?
Oh, yes.
Game of
course.
Thrones.
Yes, that's where I'm going.
So Game of Thrones, I mean, I got to do a bear fight, which is amazing.
Which is similar to working with me and Cody.
Yeah, a little bit,
Wow.
No, I mean, come on, the sparks between you guys is so awesome. The Game of Thrones was the biggest visual effects I had ever done, biggest sets I had ever done. First week I walked on to the stages, my jaw, was just hanging down.
Where were you shooting, by the way? Because Game of Thrones was shot.
We were
was shot
based
everywhere.
in Belfast, and on the episodes I did, we went to. So we were in Northern Ireland all around, and then we were in Iceland and in Morocco, and it was insane. It was amazing. I was just recently in Morocco again for the show that I just did, and I love shooting in Morocco. It's fantastic. The Game of Thrones, I love to shoot, and it's what you were just saying, Cody, about that shot that I did. I love to shoot things in a cinematic manner, and I love to give an audience a sense of geography. And so often, I won't always do a big master, but often I think if I remember, it was kind of up high. And the thing about it is, if you are intimate with your characters and then you jump out wide and give your audience a sense of geography, it puts them back into the scene, or can say something about the scene, whether they're lonely or excited, or it's a beautiful place, a sad place, whatever. When you go to real locations like Morocco, Iceland, I was just in northern Finland as well, you get to look 360, and it's like shooting in New York City. I mean, if as long as you're not doing a period piece, you get to look 360, and it's just everywhere you look is fantastic, and it's amazing, and it gives it a very cinematic scope to it.
So when you talk about period, you did The Deuce in New York City. See how I'm going through
Amazing.
your CV?
Yeah, wow.
I was born in New York City, and in 1968, and I remember New York in the 70s, and I played guitar in the subways in the 80s, and I absolutely remember that New York. So New York for the Deuce is totally different than the morning show New York, because that's modern.
Well, the Deuce, I took a deep dive into the 70s, and HBO at the time was shooting vinyl, and they said, Michelle, just don't let it look like vinyl. So I actually never watched vinyl, but vinyl was Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I watched, Taxi. I watched all this.
Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, right?
And so one of my greatest influences was Scorsese, and I'm like, oh boy, I hope it's different. And apparently it was very different. So I took a very deep dive into 1970s New York, and we tried to make it as accurate as possible. And we had an amazing crew and art department and cinematographer and everything. The morning show, of course, is modern day and very, very high end, complete opposite. I mean,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite kind of stuff to shoot, where they're like, so Michael, we're going to need you to be in this Tom Ford suit that's totally bespoke and perfect. And you'll be going out to the private air terminal to get on a G650. That will be the morning. And then we're going to take you over, and you'll be drinking champagne in the most elegant restaurant in New York. Yeah. I never hate those. I don't hate those.
Do you know, I did something on NCIS with you guys that I've always wanted to do. And it's long enough after nothing happened. So it's okay, I can tell this, but I drove the Aston Martin. So we had this Aston Martin on set.
Oh my God,
that was
so
like
funny.
Super expensive. And they weren't allowed to put any grip equipment on it or anything. And the Teamsters knew how much I loved this car. And one of them said, hey, Michelle, can you, we were on the Universal lot, can you drive it around a little bit for us and bring it around? And I was like, yeah, I can. And I never do stuff like that.
Yeah, I can.
Well,
that's cool.
That's your inner Breaking Bad. And so I'll finish asking you about your epic CV with, I think, probably the show that was, if X-Files broke, you made your bones in the DGA, so to speak. It feels like Breaking Bad was that show that really put you into a place, not just where you're perceived a certain way, but where you developed a kind of confidence about things. Is that fair to say?
It's totally fair to say. I was a producer for a long time before I became a director. When I went into Breaking Bad, I was a producer who happened to direct. When I came out of Breaking Bad, I was a director, and people would go, oh, you produce? And it would just crack me up, because that's what I did for so long before I became a director. And I was so fortunate. And Breaking Bad, it changed my life. It changed my career. And it's where I learned, in season 3, I was directing an episode called 1 Minute. And I got this script, Tom Schnauz wrote it, and it was truly the best thing that I'd ever read. And I thought, oh my gosh, Michelle, don't mess this up. You got to go for it. Just get out of your comfort zone and go for it. And we shot it. And I really went for it. I mean, really crossed that imaginary line. And we cut it together, and I thought, oh man, people are going to think I've gone too far. This is too much. I don't know what's going to happen. And not in my wildest dreams did I know what was going to happen, which was the show, started to take off. I got nominated for the first time for that episode. And it made me realize, oh, I have to go to that place. I have to get out of that comfort zone. I have to take those risks to truly, do what we do. So it was, Breaking Bad was, and also Vince Gilligan's amazing. The whole team was amazing. The scripts were phenomenal. The cast is fantastic. And we were experimenting. We were always experimenting, and it was, and Vince would say, do whatever you want, just make sure you're telling the story. So there's actually a lot of different styles in Breaking Bad, but I love old Westerns. And so to me, Breaking Bad was a modern day Western. And I really got to learn so much.
We're going to have Matt Jones on our show, because Matt was
Dorney.
Dornigan. He was a recurring character on NCIS and totally different than the Breaking Bad situation.
Completely.
But Matt Jones has one of the great speaking voices
oh my God.
of all time.
In fact, we thought it was a little fake when he came on. We were like, are you serious? Like,
are you putting that on? Yeah.
Are you putting that on? Like,
He's not. That's the real Matt Jones. Dorny.
Love it.
Well, we only have 3 hours, so our time is up.
So, but by the way, we could stay here forever.
Yes, we
You guys,
could. I know.
I think you're shooting in Europe, right?
Yes, we are.
Have you guys shot in Europe before? It's the greatest thing. Because first of all, you work 10-hour days.
I did a movie. Yeah, I did a movie in Germany a long time ago. And, but yes, we are doing French hours. I think we have,
That's what
we
you're
have-
talking about, right, Michelle? You're talking about the 10-hour days?
It's the best thing ever. Yeah.
and we have the Canary Islands and
Amazing.
Hungary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some extraordinary other places, perhaps. And when you take characters off of a show like the Ziva and the Donoso, the audience expectation is, well, we find a dead body, we investigate the clues, we watch the witty banter, there's a little bit of silver lining of but what we're doing now is we're taking Tony and Ziva, putting them in a sort of catastrophic save the world and themselves and their daughter situation. And so it's a really great challenge mathematically as well as emotionally, because we need to make sure the audience recognizes the stories that they have in their hearts and in their memories.
Yeah.
But we also want to take them like, hey, come here. We're going to show you this brand new world. And it's going to be really
and
cool.
it has nothing to do with the agency, which is something that we always wanted. Michael and I always wanted to sort of explore the characters, but not be a part of the structure, not be a part of that structure. And we have an emotional structure, which will be, infused by all of these heavy, epic challenges, but we won't have the other stuff.
You guys, I'm so happy for you. I'm so sad I'm not going to be with you. I am seething with jealousy, and I just hope, I know it's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait to see it. It's
well,
it's gonna be
this is
brilliant.
just season 1.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's no point in, you never know. You never know.
No, I
right.
just meant it for the first episode.
I know.
yeah.
The beginning is the beginning, but if anybody wants to send an email to offduty@spotify.com and let everybody know how much they feel Michelle MacLaren should be involved, you can also send it to Apple. All right. Well, Michelle, you are just amazing.
This was awesome.
The very first day where you came over to the Donoso desk on the set and said, are you buying a house next door to my house? And so it turned out you and I were neighbors for quite a few years. And I love all of your neighbors so much. And so I miss you guys, and I look forward to seeing you again.
We miss you guys. We miss you. Give my love to Boyana and the
I
kids.
will.
And we miss you guys, and I love you guys. It's so great to see you, and have the best time. I know you will. And hopefully I'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah.
Cody DePaula.
How good was that?
I am better for knowing Michelle MacLaren. I feel
Cherie, I
fortunate.
feel like you feel very lucky about like the friends that you know and the people that are in your life. That's a pretty good place to be in. Do you wanna play a little game time? This one's gonna be
Who
a little
done it?
game called Who Done It?
Who done it?
Michael and Cote guess which NCIS actor's trivia page the following facts are from.
Okay, wait. So what you're saying is you're going to give us a clue, and then you and I have to guess who in real life this person is. Not the character on the show, but in real life. Like
Yes,
the
in real life.
actor from NCIS. Okay.
Yes.
All right. What's the first question?
All right. So risked their life to save 2 teenage boys who were involved in a car accident outside of their home.
Marcus
know this.
Harmonious. Marcus Harmonious.
Marcus Harmon.
Okay. Can I read the second one?
Yes.
Had an intense fear of heights.
Who?
David McCallum, I'm hearing. Well, I never would have guessed that.
Really? Oh,
I
I,
would've-
didn't know that.
I always
Was-
thought he was like an owl, like he would soar high.
Was married to Jim Carrey for a year.
Lauren
Well, we know
Holly.
that, Lauren Holly.
Yes.
Suffers from severe phobia of magicians and conventional ovens. Polly Perrette. Polly Perrette. That's a Polly Perrette special.
I know, but don't everybody out there in podcast land, don't take that upon yourself now to just go and dress up like a magician.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
And
do it.
this one's kind of an easy one, but they listened to electronic music and cited Apex Twins and Drex. Oh God, do you know this name? Do you know how to pronounce that name?
Drixlexia. It's Rocky Carroll.
No, Sean Murray.
Yeah, it's Sean.
Is
Murray.
it Sean Murray? It's Sean Murray, right?
Who's a 7 handicap golfer?
Brian Dietzen?
Dietzen. Yeah. All right. I just thought I'd throw Brian a bone. So
what about what I want one of you?
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah. Who used to have a little cat named Kitty Cat?
Yeah. Let's see. Hold
Weatherly.
on. Who is a junior in real life and on the show NCIS?
Michael Weatherly.
Michael Weatherly Jr. Anthony DiNozzo Jr. See what I did there? I was like, yeah.
There you go, kid.
Cody DePablo, it's time for fan questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay.
Dan from Michigan.
What's up with Abby and McGee hitting each other so much this episode? Are they flirting?
I think they're flirting.
Is that what's going on there?
What do you think?
I did notice that there was a lot of contact there. And I wonder if that was it written or was it maybe something that Paulie and Sean were sort of cooking up?
Well, that'd be a really interesting question for them because I thought it was written. And I also thought that they were toying around with the idea of like, well, of course this person's disturbed because, I mean, look at them. They've got skulls and they listen to death metal. And all of a sudden it's like Abby feels very identified by this. She's
threatened. And then McGee is the geek who was the probie, who's the noob who gets teased and he gets prodded and teased and maybe bullied a little bit, which,
certainly by DiNozzo a little bit. Yeah.
And school shooters can sometimes be bullied a little bit. So both of those things, I don't know. I'm not going to read into it. Kelly from Alabama, the boy playing Cody was really good. Do you know what happened to him?
You know what? He is actually, I was just thinking the same thing when I was watching the episode today. I thought, what a terrific actor. I mean, he was truly very committed. And actually, his name is Michael Welch. And he went on to play in the Twilight movies. Yeah. So I think he did pretty well.
So, wow, this guy worked a lot. I'm going all the way back. This guy's like, he's older than Mark Harmon. Wow, look at this. Okay. Frasier, 1998.
Oh my God.
I mean, hello?
He was a child actor, obviously.
Veronica's Closet, Chicago Hope, which had the Mark Harmonious on it.
Sure.
So he probably worked with Mark Harmon there. Star Trek Insurrection, Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place with Ryan Reynolds and Nathan Fillion. Seventh Heaven, Walker, Texas Ranger, the original.
I mean, he obviously has a career and he was very good in the show. And hey, what about the next question, Bruno from Hawaii?
What's the biggest difference between your characters and your real life selves? I'm just really curious about your answer.
I'm certainly not into weapons. I'm certainly not going to fight anyone. She's very comfortable with, for example, especially, in season 3, sort of toying around with the idea that she's been with women and she's been with men and all that stuff. And that was
Wait a minute.
certainly
Did I miss
more.
That part?
Yes, of course. I mean, it was like written in the beginning. It was always this sort of like innuendo that she was like, oh, women. And, and by the way, Tony, he loved that. So he definitely clocked it. But did you see how much that changed after season 3? Like it was never really talked about again. And I'm not sure if that was really real or if it was just something that she was playing to make people uncomfortable.
I'm curious myself.
That smile, Michael. That smile.
When I just think about the distinction, I think I'm much farther away from that season 3 version of me and that character just because it's so long ago. And I appreciate him. I am very glad that he did all that work for me. Now, what a hard-working young boy he was, and living up there in Santa Clarita, chopping wood, making lots of television. Can I just give you the Gibbs rule for this episode?
Yes.
Rule of the day, number 35. Always watch the watchers.
Okay. This is an interesting thing because in the last couple of episodes, you and I have gotten really deep on the Gibbs rules. What does this one mean for you? Is it just a simple, straightforward, like, hey, always watch the watchers, that's it? Like, watch the people that are watching, watch the people that observe too much? What does it mean to
when
you?
you watch the watchers, it's because the perpetrator of a crime may have fled the crime, but now they're in the group watching the investigation of the crime. So you might find your bad guy in the watchers.
Could it be always, well, for me, it was always about, like, watch the quiet guys. Like, it was always about, like, you know, always watch the quiet ones because they, first of all, they ain't so quiet and
No
they're
need to watch
probably
me
hiding
then.
a little.
You ignore
Well-
the talkers. Just like, that guy. If you want to watch episodes of NCIS, you can go to Paramount Plus, or you can just turn on your TV. Or if you want to watch new episodes of NCIS and others, you can go and watch them over on CBS television.
Sure can.
Or if you're listening to this Spotify broadcast internationally, you can just Google it and say, hey, I live in Amsterdam. How can I watch NCIS?
Because chances are you'll find it anywhere in the world.
All right. Well, we've had a lot of fun today, but next week on Off Duty, while playing on a frozen pond, two brothers discover a dead Marine underneath the ice. While processing the scene, the NCIS team discovers the bodies of 3 dead gang members. The plot thickens when the team realizes this could be connected to the gang accidentally killing another Marine a year prior. Does the plot ever not thicken? Just saying. It's season 3, episode 19. Ice, stay with us. Foof!
Oh my God, you almost made it. I mean,
almost
you
made it.
probably almost died, but you did it in one breath.
Well, I got allergies.
Can you do it again?
Okay.
Take a bigger breath. Bigger breath.
We'll see you next week on Off Duty. I'm Michael Weatherly,
And I'm Cody DePablo.
and this is
Say yes.
Off Duty.